There was no one else around when they laughed together. When things got too hard, they comforted each other. No matter how much everyone was grinning, there was silence. Pride, regret, and sadness were all hidden in the silence. They were close, and Elton John hid the pain that almost caused them to break up for years. He is now ready to tell them the story that changed their lives forever. The night of their meeting. It was 1981 summer. That year would change the course of British history for good. Prince Charles was getting ready to marry Diana Spencer, a young worker at a nursery school. The fairy tale held the attention of everyone in Britain. It was a big year for Elton John, who was already one of the most famous singers in the world. In addition, it was the start of a friendship that would change his whole life. The royal family knew Elton very well by that time. Princess Margaret, who was known for not following orders, often invited him to casual events at Kensington Palace because she liked his music. He had dinner with dukes and performed for important people. Prince Philip even made fun of him for driving around Windsor in a bright yellow Aston Martin. Elton had never really felt at ease in those groups, even though they were very cool. At Prince Andrew's 21st birthday party that night in Windsor Castle, things changed in a way that will never be forgotten. There were jewels and chandeliers in the hall, giving it a royal feel. People were talking while Elton sat at the piano and played softly. In his eyes, he was dressed modestly. Then he said that being around so many lords and ladies made him feel uneasy and uncomfortable. Then he turned around and saw her across the room. Diana Spencer had just come in. She was pretty, young, and not quite a princess. The weather changed. According to Elton's later memoir, Me, she was so good with people that they felt at ease when they were with her. She smiled at him politely as they looked at each other. Soon, they were talking like old friends. After making fun of the strange music, they did the Charleston together in the middle of the hall. It was such an unplanned and silly event that even the Queen saw it and smiled. At the end, Elton said, "That night I felt like I'd known her forever." Diana was saved by her good looks and sense of humor. She was going to marry into a family that valued responsibility, order, and peace in a few weeks. Soon, the news would be following her everywhere. Elton said it was shockingly nice, smart, humble, and honest of her. He thought back on how nice she was to be around. She was rude, talked about other people a lot, and was the worst dinner guest, but she cared about people. They became closer after that night, even though they were both out of their own worlds. As an artist, he is very showy and always makes his sexuality prominent. It was going to take away her right to work for the royal police. They could see how much pain each other was in and not judge it. They became friends after having a good time together on the dance floor. Their friendship would last through the 20th century. Elton's voice would say goodbye to them both one day, but neither of them could have imagined that it would end in such a terrible disaster. Fame tests a friendship. Princess Diana and Elton John were very close in the 1980s and early 1990s, but not many people in their immediate area knew about their relationship. Flashbulbs were always a part of their lives, but behind the news stories was a relationship based on honesty and openness. The cameras caught them grinning and laughing every time they were seen together, whether it was at a music show, a royal event, or a charity gala. The public couldn't see the kindness that kept them together in secret, though. Diana had a gift, Elton used to say. The world's most powerful people felt safe when they were around her. She was never really at ease, though. She was stuck between the king and the people, between how she felt and what people expected of her. In the 1980s, her relationship with Prince Charles became less friendly. There were lots of rumors in the media about affairs, being alone, and not having any hope. Diana felt like she couldn't breathe in Kensington Palace because of all the royal protocol. Elton knew what it was like to be alone. Behind his flashy clothes and fame, he struggled with addiction, self-doubt, and the stress of being watched all the time. Because of how much they understood each other through that pain, they formed an unspoken bond. During these hard years, their bond grew stronger. Diana often went to Elton's charity events, especially ones that raised awareness about AIDS, which was a cause that was important to both of them. Diana broke royal protocol when she visited AIDS patients without gloves on, shook their hands, and gave them hugs. At the time, AIDS was seen as a serious illness. Elton once said that one performance changed the way people thought about AIDS for good. At that very moment, he realized how brave she really was. She didn't care what other people thought about her. She was thinking about other people. There were also happier times. Diana and Elton's silly sense of humor went well together. He liked how she could make him look like a princess, and she liked making fun of his flashy clothes. Elton remembered times when she would roll her eyes at how rude the upper-class people were or laugh heartily at his jokes. But chaos was always with them. The three of them fell in love with Diana while they were at a secret dinner party in London one night. Things quickly got worse to the point where Elton said it was almost like a fight to get her attention. In a later piece, he said that she was almost good enough to start a fight between Hollywood stars. They were completely scared. Diana was loved and surrounded by people everywhere she went, but her private life was still very sad. She had trouble sleeping, eating too much, and not feeling alone. Elton would sometimes just go see her to listen. Two friends try and get away from the crowd and the camera, but the load got heavier as she became more famous. Diana's life was harder because she had to deal with court politics and being lied to. Being aware of how easy it was to lose trust in that situation made Elton worry about her all the time. In the early 1990s, they fought, made fun of each other, and relied on each other like brothers. But there were also times when they fought along with their love. Fame, pride, and being tired made it harder for them to stay close. Their relationship would quickly reach its lowest point when they couldn't understand each other. They would both never forget the rift. By the middle of the 1990s, Elton John's friendship with Princess Diana was one of the most talked about between a famous person and a royal. They had laughed through scandals, been through media storms, and helped each other in ways that no one could see. One strange thing did happen, though, in 1996, something that would make them both shut up and hurt their relationship. It all began with a charity project that was very important to Elton. He was making a coffee table book with beautiful pictures of artists, musicians, and performers taken with rocks. The whole price of the book would be given to an AIDS charity. Diana agreed to write the first part of the book. It wasn't just a favor. It was a phrase. She had been working for a long time to break down stereotypes about AIDS and give people who were still afraid of the illness a human face. Elton thought that putting her name on the project was a nice thing to do and an honor. Then, she pulled away without warning. Diana's office sent a letter that was polite but far away. She said she could no longer take part. It turned out that the royal family didn't like it. Elton learned later. Officials at Buckingham Palace were furious that she was in a book with pictures of male models who were only partially clothed. Elton said that they didn't like the thought of a royal family member being linked to those pictures. He was upset because it wasn't from a princess, but from a friend he trusted. This is what Elton said on Larry King Live. "I wasn't too happy, and I told her that." He sent her a message telling her how upset he was. Diana felt suffocated, so she wrote what he called a terse letter in response. It was short, cold, and the end. After that, nothing happened. They didn't talk to each other for months. Elton said that the distance between them hurt him a lot, not anything she did. Diana, on the other hand, was under a lot of stress. In August 1996, she had just asked for a divorce from Prince Charles. Her Royal Highness, her royal title, was taken away. It was an important part of who she was. The media were always after her, and she didn't feel any better at the palace. She started to wonder who she could really trust when she was around people who had different goals. Elton quietly wondered if she was tired of being linked to other people's problems, but he also thought that palace officials might have had something to do with her leaving. It doesn't matter what caused the damage. Two people who used to share everything, including royal secrets, sadness, and laughter, were now strangers to each other. Later, Elton said, "It was awful. We've always been honest with each other," they said, but they were too proud to do so. Even though he knew he should have called her, he chose not to. He said, "We were both too proud," which was true. There was silence between them for almost a year, and before we could fix it, it was too late. While Elton continued to do good things behind closed doors, Diana tried to start over as a kind person on her own. In spite of this, they both felt the pain of an unresolved friendship. They didn't know that time was running out and that they would meet again, this time in the middle of another tragedy. The call comes after Versace. The Italian designer Gianni Versace was shot and killed outside of his home in Miami Beach on July 15, 1997. He was close with Diana and Elton. On the fashion and entertainment scenes, the news shocked people. It was very sad for both Elton and Diana. She liked having him as a friend and ally. To Harper's Bazaar in 1991, she wore a Versace dress. After he was killed, Diana is said to have asked her guards, "Do you think they'll do that to me?" It was scary to think about what was going to happen. At the funeral for Versace in Milan, Diana saw Elton sitting there sad. Even though they hadn't talked in months, she walked up to him and put her hand on his. "I'm so sorry," she said in a low voice. "It was silly that we had a fight. We should get along again." Later, Elton said that he was very upset about what happened, but Diana, as usual, used humor to ease the tension. He remembered her comforting him by saying, "God, I'd love a polo." Laughter brought them closer together, and they decided to get together soon. But only 6 weeks later, that meeting would never happen again. That night, everything stopped. Early on August 31st, 1997, Elton John woke up to the sound of his fax machine. There was a message. "So sorry to hear about this terrible news." He turned on the TV, which made the room quiet. She died in a car accident in Paris while being chased by photographers through the Pont de l'Alma tunnel. She was 36 years old. Elton was sad. Just weeks earlier, we'd been laughing together at Johnny's funeral, and now she was gone. He said afterward. The Spencer family asked him to perform at her funeral. He also changed the lyrics to his 1973 song Candle in the Wind, which were written by Marilyn Monroe and Bernie Taupin. The first line of a new version was "Goodbye England's Rose. We hope our love for you grows stronger over time." On September 6, 1997, Elton stood in Westminster Abbey in front of millions of people around the world and started to sing. His hand shook as he did so. The song wasn't performed live, it was a farewell. He later said, "I felt like the whole world was watching me for 4 minutes, but it wasn't about me." Candle in the Wind's hit song from 1997 sold over 33 million copies, making it the best-selling record of all time. But Elton said he was never happy with it and asked, "Why would anyone want to listen to it?" "I thought it was sad. I could never be happy with it." He didn't think it was cool. That wound would never get better. There have been years since the story and facts came out. He never forgot, though, that he promised to look out for Diana's boys. When Prince Harry was being harassed by the media for years, Elton spoke out. "I feel a deep sense of duty to protect Harry and his family from the press intrusion that led to Diana's death." He is close with both princes and often allows them to come to his house for important events. Later, Elton said that the short time they didn't talk in the 1990s had been bothering him for years. "If I could go back, I would have picked up the phone," he said. "I would have said sorry." He also said, "Pride doesn't belong in life." He also said that he thought Diana may have quit the charity work because she felt pressured by the palace, which was a reminder of the unseen forces that shaped her life. A rock star and a prince became friends because they both liked to laugh and were lonely. Diana's more honest and unpolished side was shown to the world through him. A woman who cried, laughed, and cursed like everyone else. She made him one of the most important people in the world for raising awareness about AIDS and doing good things for other people. She also gave Elton compassion and a sense of purpose again. It's still quiet when he plays the piano, but only for a short time. He can still hear her laughing somewhere in the silence. He once said, "She showed that being honest and kind could work in a world based on looks." That's what made her stand out. They will always be remembered by a song, even though pride drove them apart and truth brought them back together. The world is still sad about their death after all these years. He still thinks about her like a light that never goes out.